The mountains of Afghanistan were silent save for the wind whipping dust through the outpost. Chief Petty Officer Grant Callahan sat cross-legged against a concrete barrier, his rifle laid across his lap like an old friend. He'd just finished overwatch on a village suspected of harboring Taliban fighters. Nothing moved below. Nothing ever did when he was watching. They called him Spectre for a reason. No noise. No flash. Just results. He sipped lukewarm coffee from a dented thermos when his sat phone buzzed against his thigh. Unknown number. U.S. country code. He answered on reflex. Callahan. A slow, mocking chuckle met him on the other end. Male. American. Not military. You're gonna want to sit down for this, hero, the voice said, rich with malice. Your worthless mom is gone. Stroke, I think. Not that it matters. Grant froze. The voice wasn't familiar. But the venom in it was. And your kid, the man continued, relishing each syllable. Little Danny? He's next. Silence. You still there, Grant? You hearing this from halfway across the world, or do I need to say it slower? Grant's blood ran cold. He stood up. The wind, the dust, the fading orange sun, none of it registered now. The voice didn't know. Didn't know Grant had spent 16 years in naval special warfare. Didn't know he'd led ops deep in hostile territory, dismantled trafficking networks, and ghosted entire insurgent cells from 1,000 yards out. Didn't know he could take a life without a sound or leave a message with a single shot. Didn't know he was the SEAL's top sniper. Grant didn't respond. He let the call go dead. 10 seconds later, his CO stepped into view. Callahan, mission rotations set. You're heading back stateside in 2 days. Debrief and reassignment. Grant nodded once. I'll need 48 hours. Emergency family situation. Understood. Anything we can do? Not yet, he said, slipping the sat phone into his chest pocket, his face unreadable. But I'll let you know. Back at his makeshift bunk, Grant sat in the dim glow of a tactical lamp. He pulled out the only photo he carried with him, his mom holding Danny in her lap, all smiles and innocence, taken the week before his last deployment. The last time he saw her alive. His jaw tightened. His mom, Eleanor, had raised him alone after his father, a decorated Marine, died in Beirut. She taught him resilience, honor, and the importance of protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. And now she was gone. Danny was just 8 years old. Bright, funny, obsessed with dinosaurs and building Lego forts in the living room. The idea of someone threatening him wasn't just unacceptable, it was suicidal. Grant opened his encrypted tablet and typed the name, Leah Callahan. His wife. Ex-wife now, in all but paperwork. She'd grown distant in the last 2 years, evasive during calls, too busy to fly Danny out to see him. There had been red flags, but Grant chalked them up to the stress of long deployments. He pulled up a background trace he'd started 6 months ago, quietly, cautiously. Leah had been spending time with someone. Grant hadn't gotten a name yet, but she had. And that man just made the worst mistake of his life. Grant tapped into surveillance mode. He started mapping locations, timing phone records, accessing traffic cams, and bank pings. Within an hour, he had a name. Travis Myers. 35. Lives in San Diego. Works in commercial real estate. Drives a leased black Range Rover. No military background. No known associates in his SEAL files. Grant stared at the screen. This man had threatened a Navy SEAL's son. This man didn't understand the weight of that choice. He opened a secure channel to his former CO, Commander Mark Talbot, now retired, running a quiet consultancy that helped SEALs transition out. Grant owed him nothing, but they buried too many friends together not to call in a favor. I need something, Grant said when Mark picked up. Quiet, clean. Observational support and stateside logistics. No paper trail. Mark didn't hesitate. Is this personal? They made it personal. Mark sighed. Say no more. I'll pull some trusted guys. You'll have what you need by the time you land. Grant clicked the photo of Danny and Eleanor onto the wall of his encrypted mission board. This was no longer about war. This was justice. And justice would come with precision. Grant stepped off the C-17 transport plane under the veil of night at Naval Base Coronado, San Diego. No brass, no welcome committee. Just the salt bite of the Pacific and the hum of turbines winding down. It was exactly how he wanted it, silent, surgical. His gear was limited. Civvies. A GoRuck GR2 backpack packed with the essentials, burner phones, encrypted drive, a suppressed SIG P226, legally registered, and an old Recon Scout spotting scope he trusted more than most people. He didn't go home. Instead, he checked into a nondescript motel east of downtown, the kind that charged cash, asked no questions, and catered to travelers who didn't want to be remembered. Room 217. No cameras. He swept for bugs anyway. The first thing he did, establish Overwatch. He found a parking garage across from Leah's gated community. Third level, northeast corner, optimal line of sight. From there, he watched through the scope, the one he'd carried across continents. Leah's townhouse sat quiet in the moonlight, beige and brick, too ordinary to hold the secrets it did. At 9:47 p.m., the black Range Rover pulled into the driveway. He confirmed the plate, Myers. The man emerged laughing, carrying a six-pack and wearing a smugness that made Grant's trigger finger twitch. 2 minutes later, Leah opened the door in leggings and a tank top. She kissed Travis. Not a hello kiss. A home kiss. Inside, lights moved room to room. Danny's bedroom, on the second floor, remained dark. No sound. No movement. Grant logged timestamps. At 2:13 a.m., his burner buzzed once, then stopped. A signal. Mark had come through. At a rented office space downtown, Grant met with his support team, 2 men, former SEALs. Troy, Vex, Vickers, infiltration and surveillance. Marcus Snow, Hernandez, cyber ops. No questions, just nods. Travis Myers, Grant said, tossing the dossier on the table. He threatened my son. He's been seeing my wife. And he's not just sleeping in my bed, he's planning something worse. What kind of threat? Vex asked, his voice low. He called me in the desert. Told me my mom was dead. Said Danny's next. Snow whistled softly. That's not a threat. That's war. Grant nodded. Exactly. They moved quickly. Snow hacked into Travis's phone records, bank activity, and cloud storage. Within 45 minutes, they had patterns. He's been making large ATM withdrawals, Snow said. Cash. Always in increments under $10,000 to avoid reports. Drug habit? Vex asked. No. Not unless he's using it to buy silence. Look at this. Snow tapped a screen showing a series of payments to a woman named Stephanie Drury. A name neither Grant nor Leah had ever mentioned. Who is she? Divorced. 1 kid. Works as a nurse in a private pediatric clinic, Snow said. Same one Danny goes to. Grant's stomach turned. At 7 a.m., Grant positioned himself in the cafe across the street from the clinic, wearing a ball cap and sunglasses. He watched Stephanie arrive, blonde, late 30s, distracted. Not military. Not professional. Just scared. She checked her phone compulsively. At 8:05, Travis's Range Rover pulled into the parking lot. Not scheduled. No child in tow. Just him. He waited for her outside. She walked up stiffly. They argued. She handed him something, a USB drive or keycard. He pocketed it. Smiled. She didn't. Grant snapped photos. Every angle. Stephanie went inside. Travis left. Later that afternoon, Grant sat across from her in the back booth of a quiet restaurant in El Cajon. She didn't scream when she saw him. Didn't run. Just froze, pale and shaking. I'm not here to hurt you, Grant said evenly. But you're going to tell me everything. Stephanie blinked, on the verge of tears. He said, if I didn't help, he'd hurt my son. What did you help with? I gave him access to patient files. Leah asked for them. Said she needed to move Danny to a new doctor. But Travis paid me. He threatened me. You gave him Danny's medical records? Grant's voice was flat. Yes. Everything. Grant leaned in. What else? He asked for your mom's records too. From the care home. Her emergency contacts. Meds. Schedule. 2 weeks later, she was dead. Grant's heart stopped. They said stroke. But there was no autopsy. No investigation. Stephanie looked him dead in the eyes. I think they killed her. Grant rose from the booth, every nerve in his body burning. He was no longer a man reacting to betrayal. He was a ghost, preparing for war. 2 hours later, Grant stood in the shadows of his mother's house, his childhood home, now cold and quiet, locked and dust-lined. Eleanor Callahan had lived there for 30 years, surviving on frugality, faith, and fierce independence. A retired schoolteacher, she never had enemies. No vices. She walked to church, baked cookies for neighbors. And now she was dead, possibly murdered. He moved through the house like muscle memory. Her favorite books were stacked neatly on the end table. Her shoes by the front door, untouched since the day the coroner carted her away. But Grant wasn't looking for sentiment. He was looking for proof. In the back bedroom, where Eleanor kept her records, he found what he needed, A manila envelope marked medical/legal, 2024. Inside, discharge forms from her assisted living facility, prescriptions, and a copy of the emergency incident report. One thing stood out immediately. Her listed emergency contact had been changed from Grant Callahan to Leah Callahan. Date modified, 6 weeks before her death. Grant's hands tightened. He flipped to the medication list. It included a new prescription, clonidine, added days before she collapsed. Clonidine, a drug used for blood pressure. Yes, but in high doses? It could trigger cerebral hypoxia. A silent killer, easy to misdiagnose as a stroke. And guess what drug wasn't present in any of her previous scripts? He scanned the prescribing physician. Dr. Travis Myers, MD, temporary licensed medical consultant, via telehealth. You son of a Grant exhaled sharply. Travis wasn't just screwing his wife. He was playing doctor, unauthorized and unchecked. A forged license? A falsified order? Or just manipulation of a desperate nurse? Whatever it was an amateur hour. Grant called Snow. I need you to pull everything on a falsified telehealth certification for Travis Myers. And find me the assisted living nurse on duty the night my mom died. That night, at a dive bar called the Drown Compass, Grant met the nurse. She was younger than he expected, 27, wary-eyed, clearly uncomfortable. Her name was Jenna Park. I don't want to get involved, she said quietly, stirring her soda. Your mother was a nice woman. But I followed protocol. The stroke came on fast. It wasn't suspicious. Grant slid a photo across the table. It was Eleanor, from security cam footage, walking unaided down the hallway just 2 hours before the incident. She looks healthy to you? Jenna flinched. She said she felt dizzy after her afternoon tea. Was that tea tested? No. Why would it? She died 30 minutes later, Jenna. And no one tested her cup? No autopsy? You were the last medical professional to speak to her. I didn't. I just followed instructions. Whose? She hesitated. Leah Callahan, she finally whispered. She called that afternoon. Said Eleanor had been having confusion spells. Requested I give her some herbal drops in her tea. Said she cleared it with her doctor. Grant sat still, rage bubbling in his throat. She called you directly? She said Eleanor had trouble admitting her symptoms. That she needed rest. Said it would help. Jenna's voice cracked. I just believed her. I didn't know. Grant leaned in. You're going to write a statement. Everything. Names, times, what you administered, under whose instruction. Her hands trembled. If they find out. I'll protect you, he said, voice like iron. But if you stay silent, I promise you, he'll do it again. Maybe not with tea. Maybe with a car, accident, or a fire that never gets investigated. Jenna nodded, slowly. Outside, the night was cool. Crisp. Grant exhaled and looked up at the stars. He wasn't just chasing vengeance now. He was unraveling a system. A machine built on silence, forged by manipulation, and hidden behind the perfect facade of domestic normalcy. And he had just found the first gear. The deception engine had a face. But soon, it would have a reckoning. The next morning, Grant stood in front of his old friend's gun range just outside San Diego, Echo Line Tactical. The steel gate rolled open as a gray-bearded figure stepped out in worn jeans and a Punisher t-shirt. Callahan, the man barked. Thought you were still halfway across the goddamn planet. Grant smirked. Retired. Temporarily. Briggs Myers, no relation to Travis, and thank God for that, was a former SEAL and demolitions expert who now trained high-level private security. Grant had saved his life in Mosul. Briggs hadn't forgotten. They shook hands. You need firepower? Briggs asked. No. I need control. Something quiet. Personal. Briggs nodded and led him inside to the private armory. Grant's eyes scanned the walls like a chef surveying his knives. He selected a custom Glock 19 with integrated suppressor, a non-lethal stun baton, and a tracking drone no larger than a matchbox. Briggs also offered something unexpected, a covert recording device disguised as a fountain pen. Battery lasts 8 hours, Briggs said. Records audio and location. Uploads to cloud via piggybacked Wi-Fi. Grant took it. What's this for? Briggs asked. A trap, Grant said. But not for Travis. Not yet. That evening, Grant returned to Leah's neighborhood, this time, not as a sniper. He walked through the front gate at sunset, rang the doorbell, and waited. Leah opened the door in yoga pants and a nervous smile, mascara perfect, too perfect. Grant, she said, her voice sugary but tight. I wasn't expecting. Let me in, Leah. I'm not here to fight. He watched her eyes flick to the side, probably wondering if Travis was in the house. Good. He wasn't. Grant had confirmed it through Snow's tracking app. Inside, he scanned the living room. It was exactly how he remembered it, down to the framed vacation photos and scented candles, except now there was no sign of Danny's drawings on the fridge. No toys. No warmth. She poured wine. He didn't drink it. I'm sorry about your mother, she offered, voice soft. Are you? She hesitated, set the glass down. Grant, things got complicated. I didn't want to hurt you. You changed my mother's emergency contact information without telling me. She blinked. You arranged medication for her through a nurse, without legal clearance. And you authorized it using Travis's fake credentials. Silence. You're lying, she said. I have recordings, Leah. Bank records. Witness statements. You're neck deep in this. Her eyes flicked again, this time with fear. What do you want? She whispered. Grant slid the pen across the table. Your confession. She backed away. You're out of your mind. No, Grant said calmly. You are. You let a predator into our home. You let him touch our son's medical files. And you tried to silence the only woman who ever stood up to you, my mother. Get out, she spat. Now, where is Danny tonight? She faltered. At a sleepover. With who? Grant. With who? She swallowed. Travis's sister. Grant stood. If anything happens to him, Leah, if a single hair on his head is out of place, I will bring down everything. Every shell company. Every lie. I will torch the life you build until you're nothing but ashes. He stepped toward her. You tell Travis that. He left her shaking. Outside, Grant texted Vex and Snow. Plan B in motion. Move to next phase. I want eyes on Danny. 24/7. Within minutes, a live feed appeared on Grant's burner. Danny, in pajamas, asleep in a child's guest room. The boy turned in his sleep, peaceful, unaware, safe. For now. But the closer Grant got, the deeper the rot appeared. This wasn't just adultery. It was conspiracy. And tomorrow, the first domino would fall. The next morning, Grant stood on the top floor of a downtown parking garage, looking down on a well-dressed man sipping espresso on the terrace of a boutique cafe. Travis Myers. Perfect suit. Perfect watch. Perfect lie. He was everything Grant had learned to eliminate in the field, arrogant, calculated, and careless in all the ways that eventually got men killed. But not today. Today, Grant wasn't pulling a trigger. He was pulling strings. Snow status. Grant whispered into his earpiece. Got him. Snow replied from a van parked 3 blocks away, fingers dancing across his keyboard. We cloned Travis's phone last night. Every text, call, and app ping routes through our server now. Any indication he suspects? Not a chance. He's sending selfies to Leah, asking if Danny likes the new kicks. Sounds like he thinks he's already stepdad of the year. Grant's jaw tightened. Vex, he said next. Move in. Phase 1. Across the street, a UPS delivery truck pulled to the curb. The driver, Vex in disguise, hopped out, package in hand. He entered the building, took the elevator to Travis's floor, and slid a thin, black case under the door of apartment 11D. Inside the case, a portable wireless jammer and a slim device programmed to mimic the building's Wi-Fi, rerouting all connected data traffic through a mirrored server. By the time Vex exited, Travis was still sipping coffee, oblivious. Grant's voice crackled in the comms. Let's leak the bait. Snow chuckled. Coming right up. A fabricated email thread appeared on Travis's phone. It looked like it came from the district attorney's office, highlighting a potential investigation into the mishandling of confidential medical records at the pediatric clinic. Attached was a forged subpoena with Travis's name tagged in the CC line. The message had a self-destructing attachment timer. Grant waited. Travis's screen lit up. His face changed. He was reading it. Seconds later, he grabbed his phone, dialed. Grant listened in real time. Leah, it's me. We have a problem. Grant's blood chilled as Travis dropped the mask. What the hell did you do with the nurse? Travis hissed. They're investigating now. You told me she wouldn't talk. Grant listened to Leah's voice on the other end, panicked, blaming Jenna. We should have finished the job, Travis said coldly. You were supposed to give her a final dose. Make it look like she OD'd. Grant stopped breathing. He played it again. Recorded it. Stored it in 4 encrypted backups. Now he had what he needed. The first cut. He called Briggs. Package Travis. I want him sweating. How loud? Low and slow. Surgical. Briggs understood. That night, Travis returned home, unaware that his Range Rover now had a tracker embedded beneath the wheel well, or that his condo's network was still broadcasting through a ghosted channel. When he entered his apartment, everything seemed normal, until he noticed the thermostat blinking, then the fridge door slightly ajar, then the lights dimming, slowly, methodically. He pulled his phone, no signal. He heard a low hum, a faint beep, then the TV turned on by itself. The screen showed a static image, a single sentence in white block font. "The boy is not yours." The message flicked to black. Then a new one. "You will confess. Then. Or you will bleed." Travis backed against the wall, panicked, breathing shallow. He didn't know it yet, but his world was crumbling, one layer at a time.